Welcome to another dose of virtual vitamin Z. This is DZTV for the week of July 6th, 2020. I'm your co-host, Steven.
And I'm your co-host, Claire, live to you from the Detroit Zoo. Let's start with some Detroit Zoological Society updates. This week, the red-eyed tree frogs are back on habitat in the National Amphibian Conservation Center. The animal care team there has made some updates to their habitat space, and they are ready to see you on your next visit to the Detroit Zoo. Same goes for the aquatic caecilians, who are also back on habitat. The animal care staff there actually take care of many more species of amphibians behind the scenes than you see out front, but fortunately these two are back out so you can check in on them.
They're a really interesting looking animal, Claire.
Sure is. Kind of looks like that caecilian smiling at us, don't you think, Stephen?
It does kind of look like that.
Stephen, over to you for the Animal Live Cam Plays of the Week.
Well, because of the holidays, there were no live animal sports this week, but we know that this is the high point for at least some of your weeks. So here you go, Mom. It's the classic Animal Live Cam Plays of the Week. We look back at old footage to find some highlights. Starting off at number 3, Polar Bear Parkour. Video credit goes to Tom Roy. Thanks, Tom. Parkour is a sport where you move from one place to another as creatively as possible. And I really like to see, I don't know if this is Suka or Nuka, but I really like to see how they use their paws to move around and navigate around this aquatic habitat, even using that underwater tunnel. And it's really cool to see this footage thanks to that underwater tunnel in the Arctic Ring of Life. Moving on to number 2 is Tiger Stalking. Again, video credit goes to Tom Roy. Now pay attention, I don't know if this is Alexei or Nikolai, but he's going to be sneaking up on his brother, trying to be as quiet as possible. Got an obstacle right there, the pond, but leaps over it and does a sneak attack and catches his brother completely off guard. Gets an amazing upper hand in the ensuing wrestling match, and it, really isn't even a competition at this point. Nice job. Moving on to our honorable mentions, the Belle Isle Trail Camera. This is Frank the Groundhog, and Frank the Groundhog appears to be taking some senior portraits. Starting off with a typical pose, moves on, and he's doing a profile look now to highlight his distinguished snout, and then ending up with that classic senior portrait pose of leaning over to the side. Nice job, Frank. It's really good to see you out and about. All right, we're going to move on now to our number 1 play, and our number 1 play is from Chimpanzee Tumbling. Again, thank you, Tom Roy, for the video. Jane is the contender, and she is on the left side of the screen doing some warm-ups, getting a couple practice tumbles, stretching it out to make sure she doesn't pull anything. But here's the actual tumbling. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. That's a quadruple somersault with an up-the-hill recovery. Runs all the way back up the hill after grabbing a little bit of a snack, and she goes on to do even more of this. But let's break that down in slow motion to see that tumbling again. There's 1 somersault, there's 2 somersaults. Watch as she, on a third, navigates around the trunk to continue downhill, and 4 in the recovery. Now, anthropomorphizing aside, one of the things I love about all of this footage is that it really shows these animals engaging in species-specific behaviors that are signs of great welfare. Makes me really proud to work for this organization. Back to you, Claire.
Our feature story for the week is the piping plover conservation, which we've brought to you before, but we have an exciting update. As of this point, 11 chicks have fledged and are heading back up to the northern shores of Michigan to be released back into their native habitat. This has proved to be a very busy season of taking eggs in, incubating them, and raising the chicks until they're ready to go back to their home. Excellent work done by all the bird staff to ensure this population survives and thrives. Stephen, over to you to start the virtual education program preview for this week.
All right, thanks, Claire. A bit of an update this week. This week, we are going to be live on Facebook Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. We're going to shift away from that 2 o'clock time slot to make sure that each of these videos has a bit more of an impact. At 11 a.m., it's DZTV with Claire and Stephen. Then at 4 p.m., it's going to be Groundhog Hole Biodiversity with Aaron. And that's that hole where the trail camera at Belle Isle was set up, and there's just an amazing amount of biodiversity there. And Aaron's going to be explaining some of the different animals that you might see there.
Can't wait to see what she has to share about that. On Tuesday at 11 a.m., you can join Akila in the National Amphibian Conservation Center for an update. And at 4 p.m., Stephen will be back talking about nature observation, specifically touch.
At 11 a.m., Claire will be at one of the bird habitats doing a bird habitat chat. And then at 4 o'clock, David will be sharing a story about wildebeest and why they migrate.
I love David's stories.
Me too.
Thursday, July 9th, you can join Sandy at 11 a.m. at the Holden Reptile Conservation Center, checking in on the reptiles who live there. And at 4 p.m., Stephen's back with advanced tracking. Stephen, what are you tracking this week?
We're going to be tracking whatever we can find out in the Dinosauria area.
Fantastic.
And then finally at 11 a.m., Zara is going to be at the polar bear habitat doing a polar bear habitat chat. And finally at 4 o'clock, Brad is going to be continuing his series on animal needs by talking about space. Now, I feel like that's probably not outer space.
It could be. Did you catch his piece last week about the Canada geese? He was flying. I mean, you never know.
That is very true. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like we're getting some breaking news, though. We're going to go over to our senior storytelling correspondent, Sandy.
Oh my gosh. Hi. It's Sandy, and I'm super excited to tell you about our summer virtual adventures that we have this week. This week, we're going to learn about storytelling. And we're going to learn this craft from some of our best storytellers here at the Detroit Zoo, including David. We're going to learn different strategies that we can use to tell an effective story and help engage our audience. I hope you can join us this week. Stephen, do you want some popcorn?
Thanks, Sandy. Wow, this is really good. Claire, do you want some?
Yeah, pass it over. Thanks, Stephen.
No problem. Thank you, Sandy.
All right. On to the weather. We're going to tune in with Jeff, our curator of reptiles. Jeff, how's the weather over there?
Good morning, Claire. Well, the weather here is about 78 degrees and humidity's roughly around 60% or so. Pretty much what it is every day. But as you can see, it is a good day for swimming. Maybe the Cayman will even decide to take a dip a little bit later today. Back to you, Claire.
Thanks, Jeff. Great weather report. If I was at Cayman, I'd sure jump in that water. How about you, Stephen?
It looks pretty refreshing.
That's everything for this week, folks. Stay healthy, Detroit. We'll see you next week.